Well, hello there. Happy Sunday. This is Graham Spicer, and welcome to OpenMicVO, where we get together on Sunday evenings and chat for an hour about topics of interest to the voiceover community. Everybody's welcome, whether you're a beginner to the voiceover business or you've been in this business for decades. Either way, your contributions and your questions are more than welcome. Tonight, it's an open night. We're going to be taking questions on any topic as they relate to voiceover. So it could be something about your home studio. Perhaps it has something to do with performing voiceover. Maybe it's business development ideas. Any question regarding voiceover at all is welcome tonight. A couple of ground rules just as we're getting started here. Number one is please keep yourself muted unless you're actively participating in the conversation. I certainly don't want to dissuade you from fully participating, and I certainly invite you to unmute yourself and to add to the conversation at any point that you would like. But if you could just do us a favor and mute yourself by clicking the little green microphone icon in the lower left-hand corner of your Zoom meeting window. Just click that icon to mute yourself. That way we don't have any problems with background noise leaking into our conversation. The second thing is that we're all pros here. Some of us have just been at it longer than others. So please treat everyone with the respect that you would want to be treated with. And the third thing is that I record OpenMicVO and they get posted to YouTube. And I suggest that for a couple of reasons. Number one is maybe there's something we discussed tonight that you're going to want to go back and have another listen to, and you'll be able to do that on YouTube. But also just keep it in mind if you're sharing any information with us tonight, just be sensitive about sharing anything that might be proprietary or confidential in any way, because once the OpenMicVO episode is posted to YouTube, I don't have much control over where that ends up. So I'm going to start unmuting people, and if you would like to ask the first question or start us off with the first comment, happy to have you do that. I noticed that Larry Hudson's on the line with us tonight. Larry, really interested in hearing how your workout groups are going, and if you are still taking new members. Be curious to hear about that. And also, there's several people on here with us tonight that are new to OpenMicVO. So maybe you could give us just the quick 60-second version of what your workout groups are all about.
Sure. Hey, thanks, Graham. It's Larry Hudson here in beautiful Los Angeles. June gloom as we go. So bottom line is, when I started in this business, for myself, I created a very small little workout group. It was just a couple of us. And we got it up to 6 people that were really consistent. So the first thing I want to say is, for those of you that are just starting, there isn't anything better you could do for yourself other than obviously a great coach than to do workouts, because the concept is very much like you go to the gym, you'd work out with the trainer, but where the work really gets done is when you're with your workout buddy in the gym every day. So that's kind of how that was kind of the concept that I had way back when regarding the workouts. So what I've done is, I started these workouts in 2010, again for myself. And we started with 6, and now we average somewhere right around between 60 and 70 participants a week. We have 3 different workouts. They happen at different times during the week. One is at 11 a.m. on Wednesday, one is at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, one is on Saturday at 10 a.m., and those are all Pacific time. And the answer to your question, Graham, is, excuse me, yes. you know, it's pretty much an open door. I have everybody register every month to be sure that we don't over populate a particular pool of the three. And the way it works is there are other people besides me that I've enlisted as what I call initiators. And we do this over Skype. And the three things that happen on the workouts is that you perform, you direct, and obviously there's a lot of analysis that's going on. And the concept is there's a range in every group. There's never more than 5 people in a group. So in other words, in the Wednesday morning group, I might have 30 people in the pool. So if all 30 people said, yes, I'm going to be participating this week, that means that I would have 6 groups working out simultaneously of five people each. So the way it works is the last person directs the first person directs the second person, so on down the line. And, you know, most people, when they're brand new, they're going, well, I don't know how to direct. And I said the same thing. And I was on a workout way back when in 2010, and there was only about 4 of us on the workout. And on the second round, the person that was doing the workout said, okay, so I'm going to have you guys now direct each other on this next round. Because he said, and it's true, when you put on your director's hat, all of a sudden you begin to listen in a whole new way. And you hear things that you may not hear as the performer. So what happens is when you're able to express and direct and express correctly what it is that you think the person needs to do to get to that read to being more meaningful and more authentic, then what you've done is you've just taken the first step to be able to self-direct yourself when you're alone in your booth much, much better. And I just have this one little thing that I call the holy trilogy of voiceover, which is performing, directing, and editing. When you up the level on any one of those 3 things, it ups the level on all of those because they all inform one another. And it's happened to me lots where I've been doing a editing job and all of a sudden it informed me about something about, in this case that I'm thinking of, is separation, how it accentuates things. And I learned it by editing, not by performing per se, but it sure did inform my performance. So if anybody's interested, you could just go to the website and read all the information about it, listen to my little audio that's old as Methuselah that I should really update. And the website is voheavenworkouts.com, and that's plural, voheavenworkouts.com. And thank you, Graham.
Larry, maybe you could type that into the chat box for us, just so people have a record of it. I participated in a number of Larry's virtual workout groups, and I got to tell you, you think that performing in a workout group is hard? It's nothing compared to having to direct in a workout group. Larry's absolutely right, saying that you learn as much or more having to provide direction than in actually performing yourself. I found them incredibly useful, Larry, and so glad that you're continuing to offer the service to the greater voiceover community. Thank you for that.
Hey, you're very welcome. And one more little item. And one of the concepts of the workout is that it's not about getting the right direction necessarily, because I have it happen to me all the time where people give me direction that I may never want to use for an audition. And people do, and like all the working pros that are on the workout do bring real auditions, and that's, you know, they're basically killing 2 birds with 1 stone. They're going an hour and a half, doing 2 rounds, doing 2 different scripts, and then they actually are recording in the background so they can send it in, edit it, and send it in as an audition. The idea is it's not always the right direction, but the idea is to be able to execute whatever you're asked to do. And that's really where the strength comes from it as well. Oh, somebody asked what the cost was.
Exactly.
Yes, it's the best deal in voiceover. We really gouge people. It's $25 a month for as many Wednesdays or Saturdays, whichever one you sign up for, because you do only sign up for, well, you can sign up for all 3, and I do have people that actually do all 3 workouts, and it's $25 not per workout, but per time. So it's, you know, you sign up for the 11 a.m. on Wednesdays, it costs you $25, and if that month there happens to be 5 Wednesdays, you get 5 workouts for $25.
Larry, I've said this to you in person before. I don't know how you do. I don't know how you even cover your costs, let alone make bucks.
I don't think about it. I just pay for Zoom, and it all. Actually, I don't. We use Skype, so it's free. You know, there's no. It's just my time to put the groups together, which there are different groups every week. So people say the people that are all yeses for that one pool on Tuesday night, I look at the group and I figure out how many groups I need and how many initiators are available. And then I just put the groups together so that there's a range in each group of skill levels. So you'll have top working professionals as well as somebody, this might be, you know, they've been in the business for 2 months. And that's cool because we all inform one another. It all raises the bar for everybody.
So Alicia, all I can say is it's the best value in voiceover at $25. So Alicia, if you're interested, strongly suggest you get a hold of Larry at voheavenworkouts.com. And I noticed Bev is here, Bev Standing, who's an incredibly busy voice actor and frequent speaker at various voiceover conferences. And Bev, I had a chance to see you recently here in Toronto at the World Voices Mini Conference, which was held last weekend. How did you enjoy the conference?
Hey, Graham. I agree. It was great seeing you in person. It's fine to be online with everybody, but when you see someone face to face, it just really connects. I found this, and I'm one of the few that has been to every WOVO conference, and I found this one to be one of the best. I felt that the topics really covered a broader range. There were different speakers than I'd heard before, which is always exciting. And the enthusiasm. I said this at the conference. One of the staff overseeing the lunch or breakfast, I went up to her and I said, I hope our guys aren't misbehaving. And she just laughed and she said, you know what? I worked till 11:30 last night and I had to be here at 7. And just being here and listening to everybody and watching everyone interact, I have so much energy. It just brings such a smile to my face. And that kind of summed up the whole weekend. It was pretty awesome.
If there was one golden nugget that you could walk away from the conference with, what would that have been?
Wow, that's a tough one. One.
Well, what are one or two of the highlights of the conference?
Well, I thought it was really interesting listening to Joe Davis talking about websites because he explained what Google's looking for more in a way that made so much sense to me that I didn't get before. I'm not the most technical person, but it kind of went, oh, my website doesn't do that, and maybe I should look into that, and that kind of thing. And the other one was, there's so many, I would have to say John Kissinger with e-learning. He gave us an insight into the titles of the jobs of the people out there we need to connect with, and that's always been something we've struggled, or at least I have struggled to figure out. So if I had to put the top two, I'd say those.
I am so sorry I missed Kissinger's session because I hear it was dynamite. I'm so sorry that I missed it.
And I only got a part of it. It really was. And it was sad that it was unfortunate that he was unable to attend in person. I'm hoping that somebody will ask him to present again because it was quick and it was really good information. And I caught a part of yours because with WOVO, you don't have to go to one or the other. You can try and bounce between. Right. And the session that with the lawyer was like, wow. Thank you. Somebody remembered we're in a different country.
Yeah,
that was great.
Legalities and immigration loopholes involved in trying to be a Canadian working in the American marketplace are complex. And I was so glad that I was able to bring Joel Guberman in to talk to us about some of these immigration issues.
Yeah, that's what I said. One nugget, maybe two, no, 3, 4, maybe more. It was a pretty awesome conference. Really
fantastic. Well, so glad that you enjoyed it as well. I really had a great time. And as you say, there were some new speakers I hadn't heard before, and that's always great. That not that I don't love some of the regulars who just have an incredible amount to share, but bringing some fresh perspectives in is always a good thing. So
I always say it's the same as new people coming to this chat group. You get a new person, you get a new question, you get a new opinion. I think it's great.
Fantastic. Who's got a question for us tonight? Who wants to be the first to get us started with a question? Anything to do with voiceover, and we'll do as a group. We'll do our best to answer and to add some value. Quite a number of us on the line tonight, and I think I've got everyone unmuted. So surely there's got to be a question out there.
I'll go ahead and ask a question.
Hello, Alicia.
Hi, good evening. My question is, I'm starting out new in voiceover, and I just finished up a medical narration demo. I did not do a commercial demo yet. So I'm wondering, should I complete a commercial demo first before I start heading out and actually getting my feet wet?
My advice is that you should complete whatever demo is going to make you some money so that you can afford to go out and produce more demos. And generally, commercial demos or generic narration demos are the ones that are going to do that for you. But if you have some specific expertise in the area of medical narration, for example, there's a friend of mine here in Toronto who used to work for years as a sales rep in Big Pharma. He worked for a big pharmaceutical company. So he understands all of the terminology and all of the various Latin names for body parts and stuff like that. So he was able to do it well and efficiently. But there's only so many medical narration jobs out there. If you have an opportunity to produce a commercial demo, you're going to have a lot more opportunities open up for you, if that makes sense. And I would love to have any other comments from, there's a lot of people on the line here tonight that, have been down these kind of roads before. I'd be curious to hear your opinions.
It's Bev again. My first comment would be, if you want to try and get an agent, they want you to have a commercial demo. So definitely put it on the to-do list, whether it's first or second.
Hey, Graham, it's Larry. One of the things about this business that if you're, since you're new, that you just want to realize is you can't put all your eggs in one basket. There are certainly people out there that all they do is one thing. All they do is audiobooks, or all they do is promo or radio imaging or automotive. But I guarantee you, if you ask them how did they get there, they got there by having a general commercial demo and literally doing anything that anybody was willing to hire them for. And then you begin to discover what it is that you're good at and what you enjoy, and what you keep booking usually is where a niche that you should probably focus on. So I'm going to agree with Bev. No question, you got to have a commercial demo at some point, and you will be amazed at how many different types of jobs you will actually be able to book from that commercial demo, including time now and then a medical narration. Having the expertise, that is a very defined niche to be able to do medical narration. I have someone that's in the workout group that's also my ski buddy, who lives in Mammoth, California, and he's a doctor. He's a retired doctor. And this is something that he wanted to do, and he was working really hard on the pay-to-play and doing all that kind of stuff. And I'm not sure, I think he actually booked this one monster job off V123, which was doing the study guide for passing the taking your test to become a doctor. And it was something like 70,000 words, and it was his first really big job. And so it's out there. And typically you're going to need, a general demo like a commercial to make it happen. But the main thing is, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Be open to doing many things, and the commercial demo is the ticket to get into that door.
Anyone else have any advice for Alicia on this this question about getting a commercial demo produced before she goes out and attacks the marketplace? If someone else has a comment on that, you're certainly welcome to add it at any point. In the meantime, though, who else has got a fresh question for us that perhaps we can answer tonight? Sure, I'm just trying to get some more people here unmuted.
Hi, Graham. I have a question.
Hi, Haley.
You piqued my interest a little bit about the legal issues of being a Canadian and perhaps working in the U.S. And I've always really wondered about that. And I've sort of taken the approach of ask for forgiveness later and instead of permission. But I'm just kind of wondering, I've never really come across any solid information, because we're basically exporting a service is maybe the best way to classify that. And I'm not really sure how the Canada Revenue Agency looks at that kind of thing. Maybe you could speak to that. I'm not even sure how to phrase the question, basically.
There's two different sets of issues involved here, Haley. There's immigration issues, and then there are taxation issues. And they're connected, but they're really quite different. The first thing that you have to worry about are immigration issues. And that is, if you are sitting in a studio in Canada and you are producing work and then shipping it across the border via FTP or whatever form it is that you send the finished materials across the border in, you are perfectly clean from an immigration standpoint. You can do as much work as you want in Canada and ship it to the US. The problem is the minute you cross the border, the minute you are told that there's a 3-day session for you in Los Angeles or in New York, and we'd like you to come down and attend the sessions live and we'll pay your airfare. Well, it's not as simple as that, because the minute you cross the border and go to work in the US, in a US studio, unless it's for a Canadian client and all you're doing is renting US studio space, if it's for a US client, you need a proper work visa in order to enter the US, and they are not easy or inexpensive to come by. It's very difficult for us to go across the border to the US for just one-off or two-off jobs. If you were prepared to go, if you're serious about US work and you're prepared to even perhaps look at at living in the US at some point, then there are various visa opportunities that are open to us. But basically, it's very difficult for us to cross the border and do work in the US. You can cross the border and go to a conference. You can cross the border and go and do a client meeting, but you can't actually produce anything when you're there. Does that make sense? I'm not sure I was too clear with that.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And on the taxation side, is there any concern or?
Well, any money you earn, no matter whether it's in US or in Canada, is taxable. It depends on in what jurisdiction it's going to be taxable.
Sure.
As a general rule, unless we're making, tens of thousands of dollars annually in the US, in which case you should technically file a US tax return. Not that it makes any difference, because whatever money you pay in the US is a credit to your Canadian taxes. So you don't end up paying any more tax, but it means you have to file 2 different sets of returns, one in each country. As a general rule, as long as you claim your income properly in Canada, and as long as your income in the US isn't exorbitant, then no one seems to care very much. Bev makes a good point, by the way, is that you can cross the border to go into the US to audition for a job. You just can't cross the border to work on a job.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I've not been in that situation physically having to go across the border. It's really just been the aspect of kind of realizing that you are exporting a product/service That's
Yeah,
kind of got me
you can do
thinking
whatever
about
you want as long as you're doing it from Canada. You can even be, connected to your American client via ISDN or Source Connect or a phone patch. As long as you're sitting in a studio in Canada, then there are no immigration implications.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Good to know. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I should, kind of state, though, that I'm not a lawyer. And I'm not an accountant. So, I don't want you to take what I've just said as legal advice or as accounting advice. You should definitely, if you find yourself in this situation in the future, to talk to a proper immigration lawyer. But I think that what I just gave you is a pretty reasonable synopsis of what Joel Guberman told us at the World Voices mini conference that was here in Toronto last weekend.
I appreciate that. I won't hold you to it too
Okay.
fast and hard. Okay. Thanks.
Who else has got a question for us tonight? Just to follow up on that immigration issue, Joel was asked, how much should you say to the border guards when you walk up to them in the airport or at the border? He says if you ever say more than 5 words in a row, you've said too much. Say as little to them as possible while still answering their questions is the best advice that Joel had to give us. And Bev makes a very good point again. Asking forgiveness afterwards is not a good idea, because what happens is you end up barred from the United States, and that's not a good thing. And one other point, again, thank you, Bev. One other word that you should never use when you're speaking with the border guards, never use the word work. You can go to attend a conference. You can go to audition. You can go to attend a client meeting. Never say you're going to work. Never use the word work. Great advice. Great advice. So who else has got something for us tonight? Who's got a question or a comment that you'd like to put forward? Very warm here in Toronto tonight. There's quite a few of us online. I know someone's got a question. They're just being shy. Don't be shy. While we're waiting, and I know that Larry's always good to fill a minute or two. Larry, do you have anything else going on right now that you want to pitch? I think that you're working on one of your 5-week audition courses right now, aren't you?
Yeah, we just started the first 5-week. This is an audition. I'm on Audacity right now. It's a 5-week Audacity course. We just started this week, and then I'll be offering an Adobe Audition 4-week course, and that's actually being offered through Open Coaches. So if anybody was interested and you use Adobe Audition, you're welcome to go to Open Coaches, and you'll find my Zoom webinar there. One of the things that I do in both of the courses that I teach is the idea is it's more about what than how. So I worked in Audacity for 5 years before I moved to Adobe Audition as my primary. But I will tell you that I use both programs. Audacity is wide open right now and Audition is closed because I use it all the time. It's just some things are done much simpler with Audacity for me than in Audition. So I use them both. But the idea is when you understand what the basic 6 elements as a editor that you're listening for, what happens is it makes your job, one, a lot more succinct and easier to know what you're looking for. And then you can use those. The way you deal with it in Audacity is going to be basically the same way you're going to deal with it in Adobe Audition or any other program. You just need to figure out, well, what is it called in Adobe Audition or Reaper or Twisted Wave, whatever it might be. And I learned, I'm pretty much self-taught, but one of the rules of the game was always, if you go into a studio, when they say that's a wrap, the rule is get the heck out of there fast. And the reason is if they need pickups, they have to call you back and pay you again. So, but I didn't live by that rule in most cases. When if I kind of knew that I had a kind of a nice relationship or friendship with the editor, the engineer, I would sit there and watch him or her. And when the appropriate time, I would ask a question like, well, what was that you just did? Oh, well, that's called a crossfade. And what it does is it smooths it in and out. And then I would come home and try to figure it out on Audacity. And that was how I learned a lot of what I learned about how the process goes, because I would watch them do their workflow. So it was and that's what I teach in both of those how to record and edit courses that I do for Audacity and Adobe Audition.
Okay, so Audacity, you're already into the most recent course.
Right.
The Adobe Audition course is coming up, though, and where do people go again?
If they go to opencoaches.com and click on, I think it's called Zoom Room, it'll take you to all the different webinars that Open Coaches is offering. And I'll give you a date. And if somebody has a question, they can always just email me directly. I'm happy to throw my email in the chat room here. Let me. I'm just going to get my calendar here. I got to look forward here. Let's see. The next Adobe Audition course will start on July 30th. Monday, July 30th.
Very good.
Yeah, I'll put my email in there if that's okay.
Please do. And
okay.
James is asking, and I've been hearing some rumors that there's some big changes coming up for Audacity. Punch and roll, I hear, is going to become a new feature on Audacity. A few other things I've heard rumored. Can you throw any more light on this subject? I'm friends with Paul Acamelli, who is one of the developers. He also runs a Facebook group called Audacity VoiceOver Users Group, and that is a great place to get a lot of questions answered, mainly because that gives you direct access to Paul. And believe it or not, Graham, Paul actually did my course. I'm going, Paul, why are you doing my course? You write the program. It was quite a compliment, I felt. But yeah, he did the course about a year ago. Anyway, so you can ask a question directly to Paul about any of that. And I'm sorry that I don't have any up-to-date information. They just came out with 222 not too long ago. I think it was at the beginning of the year, right before VO Atlanta, version 2.2.2 came out. So I think, and they made some really nice changes. They kind of changed the look of it and modernized it. From our daily use, not a lot of changes, just a couple little ones that actually work quite well. But as far as the punch and roll, that will be an awesome thing when they do that. Yeah,
I know a lot of the audiobook radio.
I hear it's already in beta, and we're looking for a release at some point in the fall, which would be just awesome if that was to happen.
Yeah, I did get the notice that they were in beta and wanted some testers. I just, because of what I'm doing with so many students, I've always had a little trouble running two different programs at once of the same program, two different versions. So.
Sorry, just making a couple notes here. Anybody else have some questions for us tonight?
Can I ask another question?
Please.
Okay, something that kind of spiked my interest earlier, I think it was Bev who was talking about the MAV session she went to, talking about creating your website. And I think she mentioned that she got some new insights in what should and should not be on your website. Am I correct?
Bev, did you want to address that?
Right, yes, I had to unmute myself to do that. about that. I took Joe Davis, who ran the session, is the owner of Voice Actor Websites. No, what is it? Graham, help me.
Joe Davis, it's voiceactorwebsites.com.
That's it. And what he was talking about is what Google is looking for and what it isn't looking for. So things like, and there was so much information, I'd have to go through the 10 pages of notes I made. But some of the things are, if you have a bio and it's the same on your website as it is on another page, and it is on, a pay-to-play site, and it's in a blog you've written, Google will actually penalize you for things like that. And it was like, what? And then he got talking about H tags, H1, 2, and 3 tags, and it made sense when he talks about it. But I don't want to sound like an expert, because I am certainly not. I'm going to be talking to Joe actually next week to try and revamp my website. And I have a developer that's done my website, but they don't see it the way a voice actor sees it, or they don't understand it the way someone who is looking to find you sees it. And that's what Joe kind of said. When you're looking to find a voice talent, how are you going to find the person? And they have a different perspective than the person that the website belongs to. For example, myself. It was super interesting, and I've never heard it before, but it's just a little overwhelming for me.
Yeah, that's the one regret I have about the World Voices conferences, is they don't record. They purposely don't record anything for review afterwards by people who weren't able to be in attendance. And they do that because they think that the presenters will be more forthright and more forthcoming with information if they know that it's not being recorded to be held against them at some point. So, but I do think that some of these sessions would have been fabulous if we'd been able to record them.
Well, the advantage to that is I took a bunch of notes, and somebody who went to another session, we're just going to exchange notes. So there's that. And Joe's all very open to contacting him directly and have a chat with him, and he'll tell you.
Yeah, he's pretty fabulous. He's very generous with his time to the voiceover community.
He is. I hope that helped a little bit.
Yeah, thank you. Is there a course online that talks about developing your website for voiceover actors?
Not that I'm aware of, which is why Joe's service is so valuable, because he focuses to the voiceover industry. There may be.
It's interesting. It's interesting, Alicia, that you asked that, because I don't know of one either, and maybe somebody maybe we'll approach Joe and see if he wouldn't be prepared to do like a 2 or 3 hour webinar one night on SEO for voice actors, because that's basically what he filled our heads with for 2 hours in his session at the World Voices conference. So that's a good idea. I'm going to make a note about that. Maybe we'll get him on for a webinar at some point soon.
On that, I think it's a great idea. With examples of how websites should look like would be perfect.
Thank you, Alicia.
Actually, Jonathan Tilley has a really interesting, I think it's part of his whole marketing program, but I know I've seen some of his like free online website makeover, but he has a lot of really good sources for that kind of stuff too. He uses I always forget the name, but it's one of those develop your own website.
He uses Wix or
he doesn't use Wix. It's a different one.
WordPress.
No, it's not WordPress either. But he has a lot of really good information on how to build your own website. So.
Graham, if I may, I will add that Joe came up to me and said, I was looking specifically at your website on my phone, and I was surprised when I kept pushing where the commercial demo link is and nothing was happening, and I realized I had to scroll down, and then I found your player on a a desktop or a laptop or a tablet, it's not an issue. And on my Android phone, it's not an issue. But on an iPhone, it was an issue. So message to everybody that has a website, go to your website at all the different platforms and just make sure it works on everything, no matter what company you use or if you do it yourself.
Great, Bev. Thank you for that. So who else has got a question for us tonight?
Mr. Graham, I don't have a question, but since everybody's being so quiet, I wanted to share something that I think would be of value for everyone. And it has to do with demos. I just recently did a demo and I was extremely happy with the process and everything that came out. Then it so happened that I was the Zoom administrator on Open Coaches for Chuck Duran and Mark Gus. Most of you probably know who Chuck Duran is. He's one of the top, if not the top, demo producers in the world, I guess, or at least in the United States. And Mark Gus, he ran the William Morris in New York for 13 years. He started their promo department. So you're talking about a couple of people that really, know a lot about the business. And there were 20 demos that they reviewed. And I guess a couple of the really key points that came out of that review that was really interesting and kind of shifted my paradigm, Graham, was that, first of all agents know that your demo is not real work. And it used to be that was the little white lie that we were always trying to tell, that, yeah, this is real work that I've done. And the truth is they know it's produced. And they don't care. And one of the things that happened that was so interesting on this session was there was one guy, I played his demo, and they said, did you do this yourself? And he said, yeah, it's all real work, and I just put it together. And then he said, well, some of it sounds a little dated. And the guy said, well, wait a minute, 3 of the 6 spots are national commercials that are now running. And the response was so great because they said, this is a great example that using real work, while it may be produced really well, doesn't have the zip or create the story that you need to create and what you're trying to create with your demo. And I kind of have always sort of known that or had a feeling about that because I've done some really big names like Good Work, and I was proud of the work, but I always still felt that it wasn't zippy enough to be on a demo. And the way they described it, it'd be like if you had 7 different directors shooting 7 different parts of a movie and then gave it to an editor and said, okay, now make it cohesive. Because, they all have different styles. So it was just sort of an interesting fact that the idea of us trying to play off that our demo is real work is no longer really necessary. They know, they can even tell some of the agents, they can tell what producer it is by the style. And they don't care. They just are looking for the next voice that's going to make the money.
Yeah, my demo was done by Chuck Duran several years ago now, and we've updated it a couple of times since. And there are a couple of pieces of real work on there, but the rest of it I worked on with Chuck. And it's amazing. I'll send it to an agent somewhere, and they'll get back to me and say, Chuck Duran did this, didn't he? You're right. Is that certain demo producers just have a certain signature. Their demos have a sound to them that is unique to that producer, which I've always found interesting.
And I also had the part of my paradigm shift was, I didn't want to do a Chuck Duran, use Chuck for the main reason that I always felt like, well, if I send my demo into a major agency and I got my foot in the door and they go, oh, this is a Chuck Duran demo, then they're focused on that it's his demo and not mine. And in many conversations I've had since then with some of the top people about that is they don't care. They want your demo to be bigger than life so that they can actually, certainly in the upper echelon, in the major agencies, so that they can sell you to the client even sometimes without a customized audition, just your demo alone. So that's where that big production kind of falls into place, and it makes sense.
Yeah, there's no doubt that even though my demo kind of has Chuck's signature all over it, I book with it a lot.
That's it. There's the answer. He told a great story. He said there was a guy that came to him that did a promo demo. And the reason I'm saying this is because what he was trying to say was how important it is for you not to cheap out on your demo, because it is your calling card. It is an investment in your business. So there was this guy that came, did a promo demo. 3 months later, he came back to him and said, I want to do another promo demo. He goes, you just did one. He goes, yeah, but I'm better now. And he said in that 1 year, they did 8 promo demos. And all you got to do is add it up. You know, it's almost 20 grand in demos. It's a lot of money. But here's the catch. A year later, the guy made $1.5 million.
Yeah.
So it's an investment. You know, not that I'm promoting going out and doing 8 demos in a year, nor do most of us need to do that. But that's somebody that was really trying to break into a certain very tough genre to break into, and he was tenacious about it, and yeah, he kept getting better, and he just kept doing demos, and it paid off a year later.
$1.5 million. That sounds like pretty good coin.
Yeah, no, even in Canadian or USD, I'll take it in either one.
Even in Canadian dollars, that's still a lot.
That's right.
Isn't it kind of a thing, though, where if you're putting real work on a demo, the real work actually sounds a little bit different than what your demo would sound like? Because with all the bells and whistles and everything, most of the produced commercials and things like that try to swallow the voice up a little bit. I mean, you're not the star. The product is the star, or whatever is the star. So if you're doing a demo and you want to show off your voice, you're going to want to punch that up a little bit and knock some of the other stuff away.
It's an interesting, it's a true statement, James. And that's one of the reasons why I always kind of felt that there were sometimes in a quote Chuck Duran demo that it was so produced that sometimes the voice took a little bit of a back seat. But I can tell you and I've had many conversations with major players in this industry about what I just said, and they don't care. To them, you just need to slap them. Your demo needs to slap them across the face. They want to be slapped. So, you know, but I understand what you're saying, and I don't disagree. You know, one of the things of demos is a tough thing, man, especially finding a producer that you click with, that you're comfortable with, that generates the kind of work that you want to do. The one thing that I always say about demos is you want to be experienced enough that you at least have an opinion about your own work, that it becomes more collaborative than you're just at the mercy of a demo producer, and whatever they give you, you hope is going to cut the mustard. You want to be savvy enough and understand enough about your own voice, about your business, about what you think sounds good. And it's really hard when you're listening to your own voice. We get very distracted listening to our own voice. So, you know, that's why it's just, I think it's always, you know, the first rule or the first bit of information I was given when I had my first conversation about voiceover was not you shouldn't, it was you will not do a demo for 6 months to a year because you need to train yourself. So I think that falls in there where you just want to do a demo when you actually have some perspective and something to bring to the table that you could actually collaborate with on it as well.
Well, talking about having signature demos, how compared to Chuck Duran, and I mean, this is apples and oranges, but J. Michael Collins is doing a lot of people's demos now. Does he have a standard brand? Do you see similar, you know, bells and whistles and everything the way he does his, or is it less distinctive as a Michael J. Collins demo as opposed to a Chuck Duran demo?
Are you asking my opinion?
No,
No,
if you would like to offer one, that would
I'll
be-
tell you. I'll give you. Really, this is an honest answer. There are. I've heard 15 J. Michael Collins demos, and some you can tell who did the production on it, and some I don't know who the heck did the production on it. Because it's not J. Michael that's doing the production. He has engineers. And he has one particular engineer by the name of A.J. McKay that is top notch. And I've heard those demos. I can hear when it's A.J. And I've heard other demos that were definitely not A.J. And they were, in my opinion, subpar.
I think
not acceptable.
J. Michael Collins' demos are distinctive because of the way he writes them versus Chuck Duran's, who are distinctive by the way they're produced. Is that a fair statement?
I don't know. I don't know J. Michael's that well. I just have listened to the. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, Graham. I listen to the production, but well, what's for me, it's hard to get past. If the production is bad, I'm out. It's like I can't. But I think that's a pretty fair assessment to look at. I think it's probably the best way to describe it. But that's a big thing when you're dealing with somebody, in essence like J. Michael. You want to be sure you know who's part of the team and who's doing the work.
Is A.J. McKay the guy that he's out of Las Vegas? Is that the guy?
I don't know where he is, but I do know that he is the guy that produces Joe Cipriano's promo demos.
Right. He does Joe Cipriano. I think he does Gene Cordes and Joyce Castellanos' production as well.
Oh, really? Well, he's a busy man.
No, Bev says that AJ is actually out of Louisiana.
There you go.
The same guy I'm thinking. Okay, who's got, we got time for probably one more question or two more questions. Who's got something for us tonight? Just going back to, we were discussing earlier, website development and SEO for search engine optimization for websites. Nelson suggests that he's working with a person by the name of Kathy Servatka. And Kathy is awesome. She works out of Chicago, and she does a lot of voice actors' websites as well. So we've got Joe Davis and we've got Kathy Servatka, and they're both very busy and specialized exclusively in the area of voiceover. And Kathy is doing a class on website building. So if you look up Kathy Servatka, just do a Google search for her. And Nelson says that I think the website's voiceoverwebdesign.com. And you might be able to get some information from her with regards to a course on website building for voice actors.
Hey, Graham.
Hey, how are you?
Good, doing well tonight. She's developing the class, so there's 5 of us that are in her beta test class, basically. And it looks like it's going to be going for about 6 weeks. And she says by the end of it, you'll have a fully functional voiceover website.
So hopefully by the fall then she'll be, out and fully marketing the completed course.
I don't know for sure what her time frame is, but I know that we probably have another 2 weeks and we'll be completed with this beta test.
Fantastic. Well, I do like Kathy a lot, so I wish her the best. And Nelson, if you do get some information from Kathy in the coming couple of weeks about when her course is going to hit the market, please let us know so we can give her some promotion for it.
Certainly. Certainly will, Graham. Also, she has moved recently. She's no longer in Chicago. She's now in Massachusetts.
Ah, good for her. Fantastic. Well, I will. We can still get her at the same place, though. voiceoverwebdesign.com.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Nelson. I have a favor to ask everybody who's on the line tonight. I am hoping, I'd like to expand the universe of people who get notified about OpenMicVO on Sunday evenings. And I would like to ask a favor of everyone online tonight, and that is to email me at some point in the coming few days the name of just one person who may be a new voice actor, or maybe they've been a voice actor for a while, or they're just getting back into the business. One name, one email address of someone that I can add to our mailing list so that we can extend the audience for OpenMicVO. I do this, on Sunday nights as a service to the community. It's not a money maker for me by any means. It costs me money, but I do really enjoy doing it. But I'd like to expand our audience. So if you could just take the time in the next couple of days, send me an email with one email address of someone you think could benefit from participation in OpenMicVO. We have time to slip in just one more question if anyone has one. Otherwise, we're going to call it a night for the night. Going once? Going twice? Okay, well, let's call it a night then. Happy Father's Day to all of you who are fathers on the line with us tonight. I hope you've had a great day. And I really appreciate your participation this evening in OpenMicVO. Hopefully you'll be able to walk away from this past hour with some useful info. I certainly implore you to work hard this week, do lots of auditioning, book lots of work, and we'll see you again next Sunday night. Good night, everybody.